This is Sybert signing into Red Alert 3 on the map Battlebase Quartus for a 2v2. Another one of these Battlebase themed maps designed for 2v2s in the north, playing the Red Allies. This is DutchArmy and his teammate as the Cyan Empire. Give it up for Bashley. They're teaming up once again, and opposite this iconic duo is perhaps an even more iconic duo, because in the south, playing as the Green Allies, this is Pika. And you probably have already guessed who is the yellow Soviet player, his teammate. This is dimon. All right. 2v2. A little bit of rematch, perhaps a little bit of revenge as well. Now, if you did not see the best of 9 2v2 series that these 4 players played, it was quite action-packed and quite eventful, and you can check out that game series, but we've got a bit of a rematch on our hands. DutchArmy and Bashley versus dimon and Pika. The same matchup, but as far as I know, this is just a best of 1. If this is a whole series, well, then maybe I'll get a hold of the other matches and see if we can put together another video for that whole series. But at the current moment, it's just one replay. And I was like, hey, I definitely want to check out a rematch between these guys, because some of those games in this series were a bit short. It didn't quite do justice to the players. And overall, that was quite a good series, quite a good 2v2 series. But I'm still excited to see more matches from these folks. dimon going to be taking a quick 3rd refinery. Pika, on the other hand, going to be maybe setting up for something aggressive in the direction of Bashley, but we'll see. It gets quite close once you move into the middle, and it looks like Pika's already dislodging Bashley, so the aggression might be a bit short-lived on the Bashley side of things. DutchArmy is also trying to stake his claim in the middle. Meanwhile, Bashley has gone towards the outside, the maybe somewhat safer expansion for a fast 3rd refinery on the water. Walls coming up here. I love the friendly walls that sometimes come in 2v2s. Pika is trying to dislodge Bashley, and DutchArmy is trying to dislodge dimon. So we are going to have very close quarters here. dimon and DutchArmy will, at least their economies are going to be close to touching, even if their attacking units aren't quite there. And now actually Pika decides, I'm going to take this oil derrick for myself. I'd like to have 2 oil derricks under my control and a refinery. I can only assume Pika is going to be getting a refinery next. Pika doesn't quite have enough cash for it just yet, but if he starts now, he should be getting one relatively soon. And dimon facing a bit of money troubles. I mean, this guy is trying to get a Tesla coil, but he's also trying to hold off these peacekeepers. He's got DutchArmy to worry about, and Bashley and dimon both going to be trailing quite low in their income. Bashley, we can only assume, is climbing towards Tier 2 as an Empire player, although no, he's already got Tier 2, and he went for a 4th refinery. So that definitely does explain why Bashley is so incredibly low on cash. The Tesla coil does go down. It may have been canceled at the last moment there, or it may have been taken out by DutchArmy, but either way, these guys are getting very close to each other. Multi-gunner turrets, war factories, and Tesla coils coming in. But it's also going to be flak troopers and Pika with some Vindicators going to be supporting dimon in this attack. A couple of Apollos providing a bit of overwatch. Barracks does get shut down. And this Tesla coil can shoot through the walled garden that is the middle of the map. And DutchArmy says, well, I'm not going to try that anymore. I'm going to get on out of there. Bashley pulls over to the left side of the map with those strikers. I love the transition out to the water for Bashley. Going to be dropping low on cash once again. But Bashley has 4 refineries up and running. And for the current moment, they are unopposed. Oil Derrick does finally go down. DutchArmy finds small damage against dimon. Not a big strike, not a big kill. And as Pika and dimon gain control of the center of the map, they have to be thinking in the back of their heads, these guys aren't just going to give up and not take thirds. They're probably heading out to the water. And so we should be seeing either Pika or dimon, one of them, heading out to the water, maybe some terror drones from a war factory, something like that. But we should see them make some move in some way towards getting themselves the ability to harass out on the water. DutchArmy commits into the attack. His Vindicators escape for now. That was a lot of flak troopers down on the ground. Cryo shot does fire off. Pika coming in clutch once again. Going to be able to take down that barracks with the help of dimon. Meanwhile, Bashley also coming in clutch. A couple of tsunami tanks, a couple of strikers to provide overwatch and to provide defense for DutchArmy to get his MCV out of there. dimon threatening the MCV of DutchArmy and forcing him away nearly at half health. Meanwhile, Pika onto the high ground he goes. He finds himself a Tier 2 war factory, and Bashley is on the other side of the map, has nothing back at home to defend this. Bashley, the ultimate team player, the ultimate friend and ally, gets cut down back at home because he's too busy defending his ally. And unfortunately for Bashley, that might be just a devastating strike to his production. War Factory should be on the way, but we see Bashley's already low on cash, falls below that 2K mark, and then comes back above it, finishes up with only 600 credits in the bank. Harvester does go down. Apollos do clip the wings of those Vindicators, and it looks like DutchArmy is not going to be getting done with that harassment scot-free. Multi-gunner turret's going to take a couple of shots at these hammer tanks. We'll drive them away. Of course, hammer tanks can outrange those multis. DutchArmy, we saw him send that expansion out to the water so long ago, but he hasn't been able to do anything with it. This is now 4 cryocopters for Pika. Plenty of cryocopters here. And Bashley trying to re-establish himself. Where did that war factory end up getting deployed? It's actually kind of on the front line. It is quite in a forward position as we start climbing towards Tier 3, towards artillery, towards the late game. That seems like a very dangerous place to put a mecha bay. DutchArmy coming through for another pass with his Vindicators. Gonna maybe try and scoop up some of these hammer tanks, cleaning them off one by one. Pika, is he looking for another engagement with his cryocopters? A quick shrink and a freeze of a Harvester would be a nice bit of harassment, but not without its dangers, not without a bit of damage done to the cryocopters. Not a kill there. DutchArmy hoping he could get a kill and doesn't manage to secure it. Bashley only lost mining time, a minor inconvenience as compared to losing a Harvester and having to rebuild it. Multi-gunner turret does go down. DutchArmy, 4th refinery out on the water. Multi-gunner turret getting targeted down, and it's going to be low power mode for Pika. Drops an additional multi-gunner turret, but that's too much of a strain on the old electric grid. Cryoblast getting ready to fire off on both sides, but it's also going to be the satellites on top of that. The classic 1-2 punch from Pika, from dimon, joining forces there. Meanwhile, Bashley and DutchArmy trying to get what value they can, shutting down Pika's front line. Economy is not going to happen. The oil derricks still stand, the refinery still stands, and DutchArmy has more trouble to worry about back at home. Let's hope Bashley can help him out with this one as well, because DutchArmy has nothing on the high ground to stop dimon. Flak Trooper jumps inside the walls, gets eaten up by a dog, but that power plant under threat could be tagged a little bit later. Overwatch provided by those Apollos. Vindicators won't be getting free damage on these hammer tanks, at least not just yet. 2 hammers on the low ground, a multi-gunner turret as well. Bashley falling apart as he's trying to transition his forces to the east, to the west, to the east, to the west, unable to respond adequately. Dutch Army is having to rely on Bashley's good graces and ground forces to keep him safe. Vindicators come in for a pass. More than one multi-gunner turret lies on the ground to defeat those air units, and it's going to be some losses on the side of Dutch Army. This hammer tank number keeps on growing. Double refinery out on the water for Dutch Army might be the only thing keeping him in this game, but he's got no ground army. He's got no muscle or meat on the ground to deal with dimon. On top of that, it looks like his harvester is a little bit bugged. It looks like it's only adding 1, maybe 2 seconds to that round trip. If that's the case, that really isn't that big of a deal, all things considered. But it looks like it isn't totally bugged. dimon is bugged and ready to go. He is getting angered. He is getting ready to tear down these walls. And this is way too many hammer tanks. It's going to come down to the infantry and the crushes. There's a lot of firepower in these infantry, but there's a lot of crushing treads in these tanks at the same time. It's going to be a cryo blast on the other side of the map. Once again, the engagement is going to come in here from Bashley, but it's going to get halted. The Tesla coil is just insult to injury here, as it looks like the attack on the other side of the map will be backed off as well. Both sides pushing forward, backing off, and it looks like this Tesla coil will be broken. But dimon is not going to take this line down on the other side of the map. He's starting to press in. Maybe Bashley can defeat Pika while dimon defeats Dutch Army, but let's see, because it looks like dimon is going a little bit slow on the progress, taking his time. A Tesla coil gets started, then canceled as Pika transitions out to the water. The land has crumbled. Pika is happy to let the land go as he goes tier 3, as he goes double naval yard out on the water. He is low on cash, but he is still producing from 2 naval yards. Pika has been pushed out of the land, and Bashley might actually be going for an engineer. He's left the oil derrick unclaimed at the current moment, untarnished as well. Vindicators coming through, but so are aircraft carriers. Dutch Army has nothing to match, so in that way, these allied players are not the same. EMP lands, locking down a couple of those tsunami tanks for terror drones to come and infect. There are 5 tsunami tanks here. There are 3 terror drones. Unfortunately, the Imperial Warriors come out of their hiding place to get the kill on those terror drones. Twin Blades are now here, Bullfrogs as well, and Dutch Army still has that ever-present threat of hammer tanks not far away. Twin Blades are going to get kills on the tsunami tanks, and Pika, you got to feel good for Bashley getting the kill on the high ground refineries, but you got to feel bad for Bashley for having no way to deal with these aircraft carriers. Looks like he has been able to jump on 1 aircraft carrier, but there are 2 more full of health, full of drones, ready to go. Apollos are here from Dutch Army, but the MCV is now under threat. Twin Blades are getting chased down. Bullfrogs are here. Dutch Army has built up a significant ground army over the last couple of minutes. He is no longer requiring his ally to step in and take care of him. On top of that, Dutch Army catches all of the ground-based anti-air of dimon. He's going to be able to blast it down, but where is one Cryogeddon comes another. It's going to be a Cryogeddon catching only 1 Guardian tank on the Dutch Army side, and it's going to be the Leech Beam, which interestingly does not break down those tanks, but they still do get eaten up. War Factory just for the body block as the Bears come in, and behind all of this, Bashley is struggling to deal with those aircraft carriers. These tanks don't need guns, they just need treads as they crush Dutch Army's attempt to flank around the side. Yari mini-subs have found their mark. Bashley keeps up the pressure somehow, some way. Bashley puts out even more tanks onto the high ground. A little bit of float happening as these players are looking to do something with that cash. $2,000 in the bank, you can eat that up pretty quickly, but sometimes when the hour is late, you'll wish that you had spent that money already. So the float is disappearing for all 4 players. They're now climbing down below 1,000, which is good to see. You would hate to see a player in dire straits. Oh, that Apollo doing massive damage for Pika. You would hate to see a player in dire straits, but with cash in the bank. Vindicators come in. That's going to be a double kill on the Yari mini-subs. They do get a kill on a Harvester, though. Every hit does matter sometimes. Ore Refinery is now getting attacked. That Yari mini-sub is going to be able to suicide itself at the last possible second, possibly. Although, no, with the second Yari mini-sub, they may get the kill before that Tesla coil is established. Vindicators coming in. They will get the kill, and they will be able to escape safely. No anti-air there on the water. And Bashley with this very forward mecha bay has put forward an incredible amount of ground forces. You have to hand it to Bashley for getting it done on the ground. High ground, low ground, all around. Bashley has been putting damage on the board and keeping the hits even. Now, I don't want to, equate aircraft carriers and tsunami tanks, but you do have to hand it to Bashley for being able to do monumental damage to Pika. Cryogeddon fires off. The Athena cannons are here. The Aegis shield will block pretty much all of that. A couple of Guardian tanks did get grabbed by that Cryogeddon. A couple of Peacekeepers as well. The damage will be light regardless. Even a couple of Guardian tanks, even if they do get taken down, that is still a small price to pay for the denial of a Cryogeddon. Mecha Bay, not so lucky to escape once again. Bashley's very valuable Mecha Bay gets targeted down. And these Apollos, they've gone golden. They're both heroic as Pika is allowed to sit over top of Bashley's base, gunning down carrot after carrot. No, gunning down aircraft after aircraft. Bashley is smurfing as Carrot in this game, but Bashley is also not going to be pulled up with the weeds. He is pushing forward, loses 1 tsunami tank on the assault here, looking to cut down the economy of dimon. And Dutch Army is moving forward on the minimap. He's looking to cause some chaos, but it's going to be a Cryogeddon firing off. It's going to be a Toxin Tractor driving forward. That Hammer tank being sacrificed by dimon to try and stop the advance of Dutch Army. 1 refinery will go down. Finally, dimon is taking some direct damage, but it's going to cost Bashley greatly. He's got $2,000 in the bank, but he just lost $10,000 worth of units. Strikers are going to be able to escape. Athena cannons, that artillery advantage, allow Dutch Army to carve away at that refinery. This has certainly been a back and forth. dimon has not been able to step out onto the water, and I thought the aircraft carriers of Pika would be doing a lot more than they have done. Once again, Bashley manages to find the kill on a refinery of Pika. Twin Blades will be traded out, but the Bullfrogs are here to make sure the damage is not too heavy. What was looking like a solid advantage on land and at sea for dimon and Pika has turned around into a crazy tight fight between these guys. Just in the last minute or so, dimon has realized the great mistake of this game. 30,000 credits safely harvested, unharassed, unopposed by Dutch Army out on the water. Now the Tesla coil is here. I guess you might as well sell off these refineries now. Okay, Dutch Army does exactly that, and dimon is going to be able to take over that space. And dimon probably now realizing, oh, I should have been harassing this place the whole time. There were no defenses here. This was half of his economy. Actually, for the last couple of minutes, it's been more than 33% of his economy. It's been 2/3 of his economy. Yari Minisub does get frozen. Aircraft carriers no longer here. Oh, Cryogeddon going to be firing off. I hope you've got another Aegis shield, and he does indeed. Dutch Army just barely saving most of his army, but no! 3 Mirage tanks, 2 Athenas, a heavy price to pay, and the Javelins are what unfreeze first. The Mirages, it doesn't matter. They're giving away those precious, precious weapons to dimon. Vindicator's going to be coming in, now reduced to build Tengus with his 3rd Mecha Bay. Bashley is looking to even the score, though. Unfortunately, Tank Busters, they don't do well versus those conscripts in the building. Cryogeddon is looking to trap these units. dimon says, I'm trying to escape, and Dutch Army says, give me those guns back. That is a Mirage hammer tank that just got annihilated. Another hammer tank has 2 weapons, and Dutch Army is hoping to reclaim the specialness of his vehicles. Terror Drone gets the instant infect on that unit. Pika, forced out onto the water, is long-distance mining back at home in one of the most awkwardly placed refineries that I've seen in recent times. Vindicators come in, another 2 hammer tanks claimed. Without Pika's Apollos providing that fire support, Dutch Army is actually able to do a bit of damage and actually get a bit of kills against those hammer tanks. Dutch Army is going to be losing his middle of the map expansion. He lost both of his expansions on water. He hasn't been able to do anything to contest against the expansions of dimon. And it's just a bit of a tough one for Dutch Army for the last couple of minutes. Low on cash, and he's low on cash once again. He's going to have to try and get out another refinery at some point. He's got a hospital on the high ground. I didn't actually realize that's what that was. I guess that is a big benefit to someone who went as heavy into infantry as this guy did. Balloon bombs getting called in. They will be dropping their payload on that ore refinery. Refinery of dimon takes a lot of damage. Dutch Army with a number of Vindicators, 6, maybe even 8, as these Bullfrogs get caught by the Tengus, but not before doing a bit of damage themselves. A Tengu does get infected by a Terror Drone, always a danger, and dimon calls in the satellite on top of the Vindicators. He may have actually gotten one of them there. That might have even been a heroic Vindicator as Dolphins show up. For the first time in several minutes, Pika has found the naval units to actually step out into the water and do a bit of damage. Go for a splash. Go for an attack. Cryogeddon gets called in. Dutch Army dodges as only Dutch can. 3, maybe 4 Javelin soldiers will get caught. One of them heroic, a couple of Peacekeepers as well. Toxins get called in. Dutch Army is getting blasted to bits. Hammer Tank's going to be coming in for the crush. Bears go for the roar, and they don't even need to. Bullfrogs coming forward, and Dutch Army has been gutted. The high ground taken once again, but I don't know if he can keep hold of it. He's got that tier 3 MCV once again. Bashley coming in for the save. Quad Tengus on the front line giving their lives, and it's going to be the return fire Cryogeddon to clean up the attack, to give a couple of extra moments of time. Bashley is going to find a kill on a hammer tank. Nicely done. Point defense drones keeping those Tengus alive for now. Hammer tank does go down. Hammer tank gets shrunk, and it's going to be twin blades in the sky. Apollos coming in. Vindicators as well. The hammer tank numbers are so thin. But one more goes down. A second gets eliminated. dimon with barely any forces left. So close to breaking Dutch Army. So close. And yet he just won't die. Bashley and Dutch Army hold on. Attack after attack. Can they take any more? Athena Cannon gets surrounded. Athena Cannon will be destroyed. And the Aegis, no, gets chrono swapped. gets chrono swapped with a terror drone. What a great save of an Athena cannon surrounded by Tengus, and just gets saved. GG gets called, one, then the other, as Bashley and DutchArmy leave the game. dimon takes the expansion on the water away from DutchArmy after 15 minutes, takes it for himself, and that will do it. Neck and neck and neck and neck in the economy for most of that game. Pika forced out onto the water by the superior play of Bashley, but it's not a 1v1, it's a 2v2. And together, Pika and dimon were stronger in this match. What a fantastic back and forth 2v2 on Battlebase Quartus. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And this is Sybert signing out.